What's a story from your life that started off sad but had a surprisingly happy ending? The story of Mr. Hopeful and Ms. Lonely Heart. I was a bartender at a local place that was somewhat close to a university, but far enough away that it was a hidden gem. We used to get first dates all the time, most of them were Tinder-esque. I remember one time specifically, this guy comes in and sits down at a table alone, and kept checking his watch. A watch? I wander over, greet him, and ask what he'd like to start off with to drink. I dunno, I'm meeting someone, is it rude to have a drink already before they get here? I smiled, asked if he was waiting for a date, he said yes, and I suggested a beer to sip on instead of a mixed drink. I told him it might calm his nerves a bit, but won't get him inebriated too quickly so he could enjoy his date. He agreed, apologized profusely for bothering me, which he wasn't at all, and continued to wait. After about 20 minutes of him waiting, and him checking his watch every 5, I wandered over again and asked if he'd like to look at a food menu, perhaps munch on something while he waited. He declined, and glanced at his watch again. I made a comment about his watch and how I appreciated his use of analog technology, and he laughed nervously and said he didn't want to pull out or use his phone during his date, because he didn't want to seem disingenuous. It was so cute. Another 30 minutes passed, and my high-strung hopeful was still alone. I asked if he'd changed his mind about some food, and he merely shook his head, defeated. I'll just finish my beer and go. I'm sorry I wasted one of your tables. On his last swig of beer, a cute-looking girl walked in, eyeing the room, obviously looking for someone. Chelsea. Over here. He started to stand, grin from ear to ear. The entrance was near my drink well, which I had just happened to be standing in. This night was particularly quiet, and the acoustics allowed me to hear chitter-chatter in the entryway. I looked over to the girl after seeing my hopeful's eyes light up, and she had a disgusted look of, damn it in her face. She rolled her eyes and made contact with mine, sighed, and said, "Are you kidding me with this guy?" She then screwed on her fake smile, and immediately sat down, avoiding a half-hug attempt by my hopeful. The entire date felt forced. Every time I went to check on them, she was ordering another drink, and he was doing his best to try and pull conversation from this girl, who had her face in her phone the entire time. About an hour later, I watched the girl get up with her purse, announce that she had to use the restroom, and wandered away towards the restrooms. I immediately went over to my hopeful to ask how his date was going. "I don't think she likes me," he trailed off. I gave him a pat on the shoulder, and said it looked to me like he was doing everything right. He smiled, thanked me, and I went back to my bar. The girl never came back. He footed her tab. $90 worth of drinks, his 2 beers were $8.